It's new play day on Shakesyear. Huzzah! Today we get into Pericles. And I know you're saying Pericles. Why are you doing Pericles? Because you say that you're doing first folio versions of everything, and Pericles isn't in the first folio, which is true. It is not in the first folio, and there has been a lot of scholarly discussion over the years as to whether or not it was actually authored by Shakespeare, and or maybe it was co-authored by Shakespeare and someone else. So there's been a lot. So the fact that it didn't exist in the folio, and it may or may not have been entirely written by Shakespeare, the sort of general scholarly consensus is that enough of it was written by Shakespeare and like follows his word usage patterns and his cadence and his themes and all that sort of stuff, because every writer has sort of their own signature, their own voice, which they lend to all of their writings, and there's enough similarities in the writing of Pericles to the rest of Shakespeare's works that scholars have said, like, yeah, we'll include Pericles in the traditional canon. So even though it's not in the first folio, if you go to your local bookstore and you purchase like the complete works of William Shakespeare, you're probably going to find that Pericles is in there along with everything else. So I'm guessing that Pericles is also not a play that you're very familiar with. I will admit that I was not terribly familiar with it before, and there are some interesting things. Reading through it, it does feel a little different than a lot of Shakespeare's other plays. I can't even really explain it. Like, maybe it's that a lot of it rhymes, maybe the rhythms are a little bit different or a little bit less complex or a little bit more complex in places, stuff like that. It has a little bit of a different flavor to it than a lot of other Shakespeare plays. And he employed something that he had used in the Henry plays. There's sort of like the Greek chorus that happens in this, but it's a man named Gower comes out and gives like a prologue to each act, except in Act 5 things start to get a little weird at that point as far as Gower is concerned. So today we get to hear from Gower in the prologue, and he sets the tone for the rest of the play by saying to us, "To sing a song that old was sung, from ashes ancient Gower is come, assuming man's infirmities to glad your ear and please your eyes. It hath been sung at festivals on ember eves and holidays, and lords and ladies in their lives have read it for restoratives. The purchase is to make men glorious. E bonum quo antiquius e melius. If you, born in these latter times, when wit's more ripe, accept my rhymes, and that to hear an old man sing may to your wishes pleasure bring, I life would wish, and that I might waste it for you like taper light." This, Antioch. Then Antiochus the Great built up this city for his chiefest seat, the fairest in all Syria. I tell you what mine authors say. This king unto him took a peer, who died and left a female heir, so buxom, blithe, and full of face, as heaven had lent her all his grace, with whom the father liking took, and her to incest did provoke. Bad child, worse father, to entice his own to evil, should be done by none. But custom, what they did begin, was with long use accounted no sin. This beauty of this sinful dame made many princes thither frame to seek her as a bedfellow in marriage pleasures, playfellow, which to prevent he made a law to keep her still, and men in awe, that whoso asked her for his wife, his riddle told, not lost his life. So for her many of white did die, as yon grim looks do testify. What now ensues to the judgment of your eye, I give my cause, who best can justify. And that is the prologue to Pericles, starts before Act 1, Scene 1. So what he's telling us is that this is a very old story, and it takes place in Syria. We've got this king named Antiochus, who has built up this city, Antioch, and the king was married. The wife died, but there was a daughter born of that wife, and this daughter was so beautiful that the father fell in love with her, and they have a relationship, an incestuous relationship, which but people are so used to it now that they don't even necessarily think about it. But in order to prevent the daughter from getting married, King Antiochus has created this law. He's got this riddle, and whoever wants to come and try to solve this riddle can. If they get it wrong, they die. If they get it right, they'll probably die too, because then the king is going to know, or they're going to know that the king is... We'll get to the riddle later. But anyway, lots of suitors, the point is lots of suitors have come to try to win the daughter because she's so gorgeous, but a lot of them have died because they haven't been able to answer this riddle correctly. So he's like, and now that you have that background, that we're chatting about an incestuous king and princess in Antioch, Syria, we're going to show you what else is happening, and you can judge it however you'd like, basically, is what it boils down to. So, sounds like fun, right? We're already setting an interesting scene for the exploration of Pericles. We don't even know who Pericles is yet, but we do know that there's a riddle, a mystery, a woman to be married off, an incestuous relationship. There's all kinds of ways that this thing could go. And if you stick around, come back for more tomorrow, we will explore Pericles together and get to know this non-first folio Shakespeare play. I'll see you tomorrow for more. Mwah.